Welcome back to Football 301. I'm your host, Nate Tice. We have now slept on a couple nights sleep on week one. We're here to react and have some takeaways from week one after we reviewed the action. Things that we were pleasantly surprised by after we reviewed week one's action. To help me do that today, as always on every single Tuesday, my guy, Mr. Matt Harmon. How are you doing today? Are you getting any sleep now that we are in the thick of the NFL season?
No, the sleep score is in the tank. It just is what it is. East Coast football. I'm going to bed super late. Monday night, Sunday night. It is what it is, man. But honestly, who cares? Screw the sleep score. Who cares? None of that. That doesn't matter. What matters is football. And my God, I just feel so alive after week one. I'm ready to overreact, try to make things a bigger deal than they are. It was a great slate of games, and I'm hyped to talk about it.
I'm too. Yeah, it was fun just sitting down yesterday morning and going I get to watch film of games that happened yesterday. This is amazing. Yeah. And I get to look at stats that are tangible, and there's no preseason caveat. There's nothing. This is tangible stuff. There's now the week one caveat, but that's what's fun about week one. It's fun to overreact. It's fun to extrapolate a little bit, and it's fun to temper down and make sure maybe our priors aren't as, unfounded as we maybe thought. So before we get into our recapping of all of week one, make sure to check us out on the Yahoo Sports Network, our brand new streaming TV channel. The Yahoo Sports Network is available to stream on leading fast services. It's also streaming live 24/7 on yahoosports.tv. You can catch all of the shows on your phone or on your browser. Something else you could have watched on your phone or on your browser last night was Monday Night Football, because thankfully we do this on Tuesdays so we can react to Monday Night Football if it's interesting to us. And a game with JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, two second-year quarterbacks, including a former number one pick, Ben Johnson, in his first game as Chicago Bears head coach. Kevin O'Connell's always interesting. Justin Jefferson, new faces on that Vikings front, offense and defense. Interesting game. A tale of two halves of this game. So hopefully you didn't have any overreacting tweets in the middle of this game, because those looked dumb after the first half. But JJ McCarthy and the Vikings led a... Oh my goodness. Thank God I was away from my Twitter for a large chunk of that game. But JJ McCarthy and the Vikings led a second half comeback to beat the Bears 27-24. What were your takeaways from this game, Matt? Because there seemed to be a lot going on. And I'm curious, where did your brain go when you watched this game, and what happened afterwards once you caught up on your sleep score?
Jesus, where do we start? I texted you.
My notes for it are pretty messy, because I was I try to have a through line for my notes, how to explain, and I'm it's a smattering of thoughts. Start with the Vikings. What did you think about the Vikings offense, especially in the second half?
Good call. I always like to start with the team that actually won the game. So
I feel like sometimes I get away from it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, usually it's more fun to be what happened here? And let's diagnose the problems. But honestly, this team gives us a lot of opportunities to do that as well, because, man, it was not going well in the first half for JJ McCarthy. And my tagline for this game in the first half was even as the Bears were winning the game. By the way, I do want it on the record that I texted producer Colin on the fantasy show, because we do a Monday Night Football solo recap. I said at 10 p.m. Eastern, the Bears need to put this one away. Otherwise, I'm smelling a disappointing home loss in week one to a quarterback who currently does not have 100 yards passing. Guess what happened? Exactly that. So there was a bad feeling about the Bears offense not being able to put this one away. But again, even in the first half, before things kind of went off the rails, I thought we saw a quarterback on one side in Chicago who needed to slow down, relax. And then on the other side of it with JJ McCarthy, I thought we saw a quarterback who needed to speed things up. You could just tell, hey, this is this guy's first NFL game, and he's not ready for the speed of it. But I think by the time he got comfortable in the second half, and apparently in the locker room he goes up to 30-plus-year-old big-time veteran Jonathan Allen and says, like, hey, guys, I got you. Like, I got you. Like, I got this thing. And you felt it. You felt the guy that was comfortable in the second half. I also thought the run game, like everything that we talked about in the offseason with this interior offensive line, they're going to run more varied concepts. They're going to put a lot more gap into this thing, and Jordan Mason is going to be the big bully that they need. That really helped things, I think, just settle down from an offensive perspective. And yeah, I mean, just real credit to JJ McCarthy on the road, your first start ever against a defense that late in the second quarter, early in the third quarter, I thought Dennis Allen, those guys smelt blood in the water. Like, you come back from that thing, that's, you know, and you throw a bunch of touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That's a very impressive start to a young quarterback's career.
It was, especially, you'd much rather have a better second half. You want to end the game well, especially with a victory on the road, division win in a division that we think is going to be really tough, an NFC that we think is going to be really tough. These games matter, even if it's week one, and even if people want to make the argument, oh, it's an extended preseason, don't worry about Trent Williams giving up 10 pressures. He's getting back into shape. It's still, these games matter, and these games are going to count in the standings. But it is really just everything you said. Like, Caleb, first off, had to definitely slow down. He has to take some RPMs off the ball. We'll get more to them, more to him and the Bears in the sec. But no, I thought McCarthy in the second half, their success rate shot through the roof because it couldn't get worse. In the first half, he had a 27 passing success rate. It was like every third down was like, hold on to your hat. And it was like you said, he had to speed it up. It wasn't like, I trust McCarthy's going to find the right reads. Like, that was never really an issue in college, and he's in a good system here, and he's got good coaches, O'Connell, McCown and stuff. But it was just like, all right, we'll get there. Like, you gotta pull the trigger on one of these. Like, one of the times he took a sack, and it was like, you could tell he was like, oh, I should scramble now. And then he got tripped up and sat, and it was like, okay, yeah, just do that one full count earlier to make that decision, because that's what it's like. In the first half, they were 3 and out on 2/3 of their drives, 32% success rate. So like 45% is kind of what you're going for. 33% rushing success rate, 27% passing success rate. It was like, oh God. But then the second half, 54% passing success rate, literally doubled it. They had 3 explosive runs in the second half, and that's what you said, those new faces for the Vikings offensive line, which we've alternate on Football 3-1 between me, you, and Charles, who kind of highlights the Vikings offensive line. I took the baton last because I had them as a playoff team, but they again, Donovan Jackson, Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, like, you could feel them. Like, even though they had a nothing at left tackle, you could feel that run game really cooking. You can feel Jordan Mason, like, really getting those hard-earned yards. It doesn't have to be 20, 25 yarders. It's just getting those 5 to 8 yard gains and making it easy on third down and getting cheap first downs. 3 explosive runs, 41% rushing success rate. That's what they're going for. And that's just the second half. So I did think that really, this is one of those games where kind of, you made the joke about this when I was talking about kind of the Vikings or kind of the Rams offense. It was like kind of playing both sides here with my takes, because I'm optimistic about Caleb and what's going to happen there in the Ben Johnson offense. But also I was kind of like, yeah, the Vikings might be okay still, even with McCarthy and everything. And this was the perfect kind of game for that. Like, this is exactly what I was talking about. The run game's going to help him. And then his athletic ability kind of provides a nice little new element. Like, I think throwing wise, he's kind of, like, he can operate, he can do the nice things, but I think that zone read touchdown was like, that's kind of what the new element he can bring in, that I think they're excited about too. So the Bears, though, what'd you think? Usage, offense, Caleb, any thoughts about the Bears? The final kick, the field, or the Santos not getting it out of the end zone and not getting the touchback before the 2-minute warning. That was not a coaching decision. That was just the personnel not able to do that. But if you knew that about your personnel, you should short kick it now, because you can do that. Yeah. There's other things that you can do. But what do you think about the Bears?
Yeah. Oh boy, where to go with this one? I mean, obviously, go down in like the scripted plays look great. You know, Caleb's like getting a check downs pretty quickly. You can just tell with Caleb Williams, and also because Ben Johnson says it seemingly every time that he gets in front of a mic, like, just get to completions. I just want him to get to completions. You can tell 100%. that is drilled into his brain. And like, I get it after the way that last season went, when it was basically sack, you know, just killing drives because of that. Like, no, we need you to get that ball out. Like, and we're going to have a check down option for you. and he was getting to those. He's also taken off with his legs. He looked fast as hell in this game. That was really impressive. So those were like the two things I would really compliment him on in this game, Caleb Williams, that I thought he got to his checkdowns pretty well. Just, again, kept the offense moving with completions, and he looked a lot faster and more decisive as a rusher in year 2 than he did in year 1. That being said, watching the game live, you can just, sometimes you can tell watching a game on the broadcast, even though you obviously don't have the all 22 angle. I'm like, I just feel like there's downfield throws that he's like, you see like different angles. I'm like, I feel like there's stuff left on the bone here, because I know what this offense is, and I know they don't want him attacking in the flats left and right, like constantly just getting the ball out to these little quick outs, because I've watched Ben Johnson for years now. I know the base of this offense is let's stand in the pocket and rip that thing down the field. Had that feeling. You go back and I watched it on film this morning. I charted the Roma Dunze stuff. I'm like, there's a lot that's left in that, like 10 plus yards, middle of the field, a lot of meat left on the bone there. Now, to give Caleb Williams some credit, I mean, or not credit, but just caveat here, the week 1 caveat, this is a good defense that's really hard, that makes those throws particularly difficult.
Thank you.
You know,
I feel like they're just going to throw it aside. Aren't we all saying the Vikings have an unanimous top 5 defense with a madman calling plays?
I literally talked to Roma Dunze twice this offseason, and he's like, this is a hard defense to go against, especially if you're trying to work against zone coverage over the middle. And that was like, again, there were throws there, but you know, they also do the one play where I thought that, and I tweeted this play out, where Roma Dunze like comes open on a one-on-one, and Caleb is gonna rip it to him, and it just gets tipped at the line. Game of inches. Like, man, that could have been a real big 1st and 10.
Saw that.
15 plus yard completion on the outside. But people are like, oh, look at Colson Loveland is coming open on this one. I'm like, I get it. Like, there's a moment where he looks open, but there's also a linebacker dropping off on the sim pressure right there. Like, that guy's going to be right in his face. And I just think that Caleb at no point last night looked like he wanted to test that middle of the field or felt like confident enough to do it. This is going to be a process. This is not going to be Ben Johnson to sprinkle some magic pixie dust and Caleb Williams is a great quarterback. We said that all through this offseason. Like, we got to give this whole thing time. Again, just I do want to be fair here in my like analysis on this, that there are times in this game I just feel like he's just like all the good and bad of Kyler Murray, and that frustrates me. Like, watching it live, I remember again I was messaging my producer Colin from the fantasy show, just being like, God, this just feels like Kyler Murray. It's not my like favorite type of quarterbacking, because I do think those guys just don't work the middle of the field, and like you gotta work the middle of the field a little bit better. But yeah, I don't know. That was kind of my just brain dump on the whole thing this morning.
Yeah, it's one of these where I'm going back and forth, because it's great seeing Caleb scramble. He hit 20 miles an hour twice. He did once in the preseason too. He never hit 20 miles an hour. Top speed is the barometer for like excellent. That's the elite speeds. And so the fact that he broke it twice, that's great. You know, he's out there on the rushing touchdown, he broke it. On another scramble, he broke it. Okay, that's great. He had 6 passing explosive plays. He had 3 scrambles that turned into explosive plays. Great. Okay, that's good. Didn't take a ton of sacks. He got sacked twice. They got pressured 46% of the time. So pretty good pressure to sack rate. And that's really what I'm keeping my eye on with Caleb, is those sacks, because he can't just be taking negative plays. They're drive killers. They had 2 drives or 10 or more plays. Great. They had an 11% offensive penalty rate. Bad. Average distance to go on third down for the Bears last night, 10.8 yards on third down.
Yeah.
This is the same discussions we had with like Stroud last year in the Texans offense. We're like, well, this is just an impossible way to win. So I feel like I'm just talking on both sides of my mouth. It's like they finished last night with a 36% success rate. Caleb finished with 44%. Okay. That actually kind of feels like how I felt. I feel like he could have gone to about 48-50, hit about 3 more throws. That's what it felt like to me. The team had a 19% rushing success rate. DeAndre Swift is who I thought he was. Drew Dahlman kind of is what I thought he was. Drew Dahlman's fine, but he's going against Javon Hargrave and John Allen. Speaking of new additions for the Vikings, Javon Hargrave had 6 pressures, 2 of them quick. Jonathan Allen had 6 pressures, 1 of them quick. Like, this is what
that was an issue.
Like, depletes an entire offense. The offense can't go, especially with a quarterback that with internal pressure kind of gets into his kind of chaotic mode. So it's one of these things where the Bears, I'm like, I don't want to take away too much. I just did a show earlier this morning where the host was just trying to get me to just like say it's over. And I'm just like, hold on, I haven't watched all 22 yet. I want to give this 8 weeks. I want to get them that they've an early bye. They're a team that's like, I got to give them a bye week before I even judge how any of this is going.
I agree.
But it was one of those where it's like, I get the Kyler comparison. Like that's very real, where there's these plays where Caleb was throwing the ball way too hard too. That's another thing. He's got to learn to layer some of these throws, and I've seen him do it. Definitely. But that's the thing, is he's going, oh, that's coming. There was the fourth down play where DJ Moore's bending and Josh Metellus is there, and on that bender, like you just pin it on him, like just by the hash, you kind of just pin it on him. You don't lead him. That's not a play you lead. And Caleb throws the ball so hard that he doesn't need to lead as much. It's just the physics of it all. Brock Purdy, little lesser arm, he has to lead far away. Mac Jones, they have to lead these guys. Nate Tice, I had to lead guys because I didn't have a great arm. But oh my God, Caleb throws these missiles and he's trying to lead them. It's like, they call them anchor balls. Just anchor it, make him anchor and pin it on him. Boom, get the completion. So it's like, he's just still trying to be a little too perfect. He's missing some of these gimmies. I can see Ben Johnson trying to give him outbreakers because I think Caleb throws those better. Speaking about throwing over the middle and throwing it outside, it just seems on those that he's just not hitting them. You got to hit all of them basically. You only can have one miss that maybe just gets tipped or something. If they're there, you got to hit them. So again, I don't want to the sky is not falling to me. I thought there was plenty of good. I thought some of the decision making was fine. I'm glad he's finding the checkdowns. The sack avoidance was excellent. But it's just, they're still wanting more, but I'm still kind of waiting and seeing before I declare anything about the Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams experience. It's been 1 week against a top 5 defense. So, all right, let's get to some more fun things. These were the pleasant surprises from week 1. Matt and I each had 3 here that we're going to get through. Matt, we're going to start with you because I can't wait to talk about this because it is a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, big pleasant surprise, buddy. I feel like I was trying to get you to sell your Jets are going to be a weird fascination offense stock before the season started, both on this show and then over in the fantasy film room. but I was maybe wrong to get you to do that because my God, the Jets offense was so fun to watch in week 1. I know they lost the football game. That's important. But if there was ever, they did lose the football game. Jalen Ramsey, Hall of Fame player, made a Hall of Fame play to just say, okay, that's enough of that. We're going to go ahead and the better team is going to take this one. So, but yeah, listen, obviously that matters, but moral victories aren't a thing in the NFL. But if I was a Jets fan, I'd be pretty close to a moral victory coming out of that game because it's not even just I honestly forget the results, which were good, right? Justin Fields is a clean passing performance. Breece Hall looked incredible in this game. Garrett Wilson gets 36% of the targets. Forget about the results of it. I just thought the one thing that I was kind of hanging on to with this offense, even as I definitely, maybe wrongly, it's only 1 week, but maybe incorrectly, got scared off with the preseason kind of vibes around Justin Fields, the training camp stuff. So I'll definitely hold my hand up and say I maybe got a little bit too spooked by that. But the one thing I was encouraged coming into preseason and training camp about this offense was, man, I thought that if Tanner Engstrand brought even just 50% of what they were doing to Detroit to New York, it was going to be a freaking night and day difference between what was going on with the Nathaniel Hackett, Todd Downing, Aaron Rodgers, Frankenstein monster archaic offense. And that was true right away. Nate Tice, even on Sunday before going back and watching the film, I'm just oh, there's so much more motion. There's these condensed formations. They're getting Garrett Wilson on the line of scrimmage as the slot receiver and motioning out Arian Smith, who they probably took that dude just to be Tutu Atwell, just to cheat motion. That's it. I could be completely convinced of that at this point after just seeing week 1.
I'm with you on that. That's a good
Kevontae Turpin. He's the new Kevontae Turpin. Just motion that guy around to free up other dudes. It's a Tutu Atwell role. Anyways, and, Garrett Wilson, again, he's on ball slot receiver. Guys are motion all around him, and then he just runs a quick dig route, gets the football. Justin Fields gets it to him. We keep the offense moving. I'm I could probably count maybe one play that happened for Garrett Wilson last year, So I thought the offensive line played better than expected, certainly after losing AVT, but really to me, it was just the design of the offense felt really, really good, felt very comfortable for a guy like Fields. And just like, they're pushing. I thought Engstrand game one pushed the right buttons, definitely gave me a little bit of like the same vibes that Liam Cohen's offense did in week one of last year. Where it's like, ooh, this feels different and it feels good. And then my overreaction take, I know we're going to get listener overreaction takes later on in the show. My overreaction take was like, oh, Lions made a big mistake not just promoting Tanner Engstrand and getting John Morton. That was my overreaction take watching that game because I just thought he designed a really good offense, called it well, and Fields looked really comfortable in it.
He did. It's funny when a coach shows that they know how to use their personnel. It really goes a long way. Like Justin Fields never once like had a moment where they asked him to do a pass play, and I'm like, he can't do that, guys. Like I always got infuriated with the Bears where they're like, okay, we're gonna help out the offensive line, we're gonna help Fields do it, make it easy. Let's do receiver screens with him. And he's such an elongated motion that it like, there's another batted ball on the receiver screen. There's another one. So like one of the most encouraging plays, and it sounds so simple, it was like a little 6 to 8 yard out route to Garrett Wilson, and it was an RPO, but it was just a simple RPO with an out route to the sideline. Not all RPOs are built the same. That's why I always crack up when people are like, use more motion, use more RPOs. Like they're all different. Some RPOs are over the middle. Some RPOs are bubbles. Some are flats. Some are slants. Some are glance routes, which is a deep slant essentially. Some, like one version that not a lot of teams do really in the NFL, is just a simple out route against off coverage. If you have a good receiver that gets off coverage, boom, you can just pepper them for 5, 6, 7 yard gains. Fields look great doing that because it's just nice, easy read for him. It's making it simple for him, making him play, and he plays fast. I thought that Caleb was kind of the same way, and maybe even last night with JJ as well. But with Fields, that was always he was the epitome of the coaching adage of if you make a mistake, just make it fast. Just go. Like you're so fast and so athletic and so like gifted. Just do something. Like don't freeze. Like him freezing, he's dead. He never felt like he froze. Like that was really encouraging. Like as a guy that used to really like Fields and kind of tempered away from him, I was like, yeah, this is workable. His stats, I've said these on the Sunday Night Show. He only took 1 sack. He had a 67% dropback success rate, which I think was the highest in the NFL. Which probably is. That's ridiculous. His previous career high was 54%. Like it just looked good. Like with the scrambles, the designed runs, Tyler Johnson making a catch or two, that was encouraging. And then the offensive line, Olu Fashanu and Armin Membao, they're young offensive tackles, which is what led to the early optimism when we talked about this team was the running backs and the young offensive line. They looked how I thought they should look. Like they were really encouraging. Membao got some help, but he was doing great against TJ Watt, and Fashanu looks really good. And then the last guy, Mason Taylor, the rookie tight end, like played nice 87% of the snaps, was solid blocking, which is really encouraging, and solid receiver. So yeah, they lost the game, but it was like that. It felt good. It was like it was a moral loss, a moral loss for their offense, especially.
Yeah, something to build on. I love your point, by the way, just about the outbreaking routes with Fields real quick, just because like especially when that's coming from a condensed set, like now you've got a bigger window for a guy who is not the most pinpoint passer in the world. So I really liked a lot of what we saw there. And I'm optimistic, a little bit more optimistic certainly now than I was probably Saturday morning.
I know. I feel like I'm back to August 1st as opposed to August 20th. my Jets feelings. Yeah. It's my last closing thought is that Fields to me, like I always thought the high end version of him could look like a bigger Russell Wilson when Russell was in his prime. And that's the type of offense that it has to be. He doesn't throw over the middle. That's not his thing. But we saw a couple throws over the middle. We saw a couple creative throws, actually. He had a little pitch to Garrett Wilson. He's never really had that. He's like he's an unathletic, athletic guy sometimes. He's like a stiff, fast guy. And he actually looked like a really good athlete on top of making some good decisions. So, I'm glad we shout out the Jets again because that was a fun game. I'm going to move on to one that's near and dear to your heart. So I couldn't wait to talk about it as well. This is the Chargers passing game. This was definitely a pleasant surprise. I was, as a guy that thinks Justin Herbert's one of the dudes and a top 5 quarterback locked in, this was, yeah, this is kind of the game I point out and why I always say that type of stuff. Yeah. I thought the coolest thing, and something you've talked about under Harbaugh, was they use more receivers than you would think with their personnel. You always brought that up last year. I remember talking with you about it. And then now they, juiced it up. Lad's a real boy. Quentin Johnston coming along. Let's bring back Keenan Allen. Old sure hands Keenan Allen, who looks like he lost 15 pounds. Let's bring him back. And then sure enough, Justin Herbert targeted receivers on 82.4% of his passes on Friday night. That's the most he's targeted receivers in a single game in his entire career per True Media. And on top of it, just becoming just an air raid offense, apparently, with Greg Roman and Harbaugh. He's more aggressive as a scrambler. I mean, he had the game-winning scramble, but he had other moments. He had one that got called back where he's like trucked through two guys, spun around and almost scored. So yeah, the Chargers passing game, the offensive line is going to be leaky and everything. But if you have Herbert operating that way, you can make the most of this. And this is rather than just run your head into Chris Jones over and over again in the run game with insert guard here, whether Mekhi Becton was on the sideline or not with his tummy ache. I thought it was a really nice game by Greg Roman. Like, it really was called game. I was shocked. I'm willing to eat crow. Like, props to Greg Roman on the play calling. But Justin Herbert and these receivers, like, this really juiced me up. That was really, really fun to watch on Friday night. So I figured I wanted to definitely throw this out to you because I know as I would say Chargers optimist, maybe. I kind of wanted to talk about this a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I had him going to the playoffs, and I kind of felt like the more I saw, like, people were kind of backing off on the Chargers this year. And, I still have concerns over the long haul, right? Like, I think the interior offensive line is definitely a question mark. It was, yes. And then obviously it was a question mark. It remains a question mark. Obviously, hopefully Mekhi Becton, doesn't eat food in a foreign country every week and gets to go to the hospital or whatever, is his tummy ache, as you said. So we'll see. Hopefully that's like something we can avoid. But the passing game, I mean, look, number one, I was watching this game and I was having an absolute blast. It was just, Friday night game. I loved it. I'm not trying to advocate for, more football on more nights. And I know my wife definitely is not, but I was loving this Friday night football opener. Let me just get that. Let me just say that. But yeah, like, watching this game, it was kind of, and I hate to call it broadcast crews, but it was driving me nuts that Rich Eisen was like, his mind was blown every time they dropped back to pass. I'm like, brother, and so I had to tweet about it. I was like, brother, like, have you not been paying attention? This team has been pass heavy. They're number 2 in neutral pass rate since they got back from the bye last week. And the only reason they weren't pass heavy before then, beyond the fact that they were like figuring things out, is because their quarterback had plantar fasciitis and a high ankle sprain.
Yes.
Before the bye, in early last year. So they didn't unleash him as a scrambler. They were a little conservative and run heavy. And obviously they get this reputation as like a boomer ball team because Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman are the coaches. But like, it's not some surprise that they call the offense different with this guy as opposed to Colin Kaepernick, like 13 freaking years ago. So it's just, and then I feel like them drafting a first round running back was like a false flag to what this offense really is, because you're so right. They're receiver heavy. Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen are all on the field for 93%, 88%, and 78% of the routes. You mentioned they got all the targets, and I love the way they use all these guys. QJ is QJ, bro. Like, I get that. He's going to have a 2-target, 0-catch game with 2 drops at some point. That's coming, but he's not a worthless player. They figured out the right buttons to push with him in terms of getting him on deep overs and getting the ball in his hands to run after the catch. And I loved the way they'd like line up Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey on the same side of the field, because Ladd's a real lid lifter and can like, he's not some sacrificial player. He's like a dude, but teams know that, so they follow him. And then Keenan's just like moving the chains against zone coverage. So, and he looked great, by the way. He looked better than I expected him to, did Keenan Allen. So yeah, I don't mean to, I mean, I'm just like, I loved this game. I loved the way this offense looked. And I just thought it was really inspiring, like the passing game plan in this one.
I thought it was the discussion. I think this, maybe anyone's heard me talk about the Chargers in the last month. It's just kind of been like that. It's like, I want to get my hopes up because I love Herbert. I really like Ladd. And I liked the bones, I should say, of what the passing game should be. Yeah, I was like, okay, wish they drafted another interior guy to help it out, boost it up. But I understand maybe they're betting on that. You only can blah, 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 blah. But I'm watching it and I'm like, man, it's just going to be the same thing where it's run, 1 yard gain, 1 yard gain. Here's a 3rd and 8. Justin, go do something. Run. Here's a 3rd and 7. Justin, go do something. And I had just seen the story before. And so it's just kind of hedging. But I'm watching it and I'm like you said, it was pretty funny to hear Rich Eisen going like, throwing again, Greg Roman. And it was like, yeah, he's throwing again. They can't guard him. Like Shamari Connors is like might not play again. Yeah, like it was unbelievable. We got our passing chart up here. Thank you to producers. I mean, look at this thing. Like he's just chucking it all over the yard. Like and you mentioned Ladd. That was one of the things. The frustrating thing with the Chargers offense for years under Joe Lombardi, even Kellen Moore a little bit, but it was more of a personnel thing. Was they just didn't have speed. Like they just did not have speed at all. Guys that can take the rock, take it to the house, or take the top off the defense. Ladd can do both. Like you mentioned, Ladd is a true 3-level receiver. Underneath, intermediate, deep. He can do it all. We're all about Ladd here. He can line outside. He's actually the key to all this because then it just lets Quentin Johnson do his thing. Like you mentioned, the bootleg to Quentin Johnson. That's how you use Quentin Johnson. He's not a vertical guy. He's a horizontal guy, which you bring up all the time. Those runway routes. And then Keenan Allen, sometimes that's the thing is like, not every guy has to run a 4.3, like tell the Miami Dolphins is. Like you can sometimes get a guy that if your number 3 technically is a slower guy, that's fine if he can catch everything that comes his way. Because he's going to get a lot of high value targets, 3rd down, red zone, underneath stuff. That's Keenan Allen. He gets slotted, pun intended, to what he should be. And yeah, I was just really encouraged. I know, and then Joe Alt also, by the way, kicks over to left tackle, looks amazing. And that's which should be a total surprise because he looked really good as a rookie and was a really good prospect. But man, he looked really, really good. The other thing was the run game. And I know there's a lot of talk about Marion Hampton. He's going to be fine. The Chiefs' run defense is very good. Chris Jones was unblockable in the run game. He might not have gotten like sacks and everything. He was unblockable in the run game. He was truly tossing guys aside. There was a pin pull play, which is where 2 offensive linemen pin or tight end, and then 2 guys are going to pull to the front side. And he's at nose. The center tries to down block him, and he beats the center across his face and is like on the other side of the run play. So he's just waiting for Hampton to come. And Hampton has to cut up. I've never seen a backside cut on a pin pull. But it was because of, at first I was like, what are you doing, rookie? And then I watched it on film and I'm like, oh, Chris Jones dominated the play right away. And then Hampton made the right decision. I'm not going to run right at Chris Jones. I'm going to get upfield. So he had a 40% rushing success rate, but then he also had 5 stuffs, which is 0 or negative yards. So that's kind of how it fell on the run game. But I'm glad Greg Roman got away from it. We got to see this passing game, which was awesome. But yeah, let's move on to your next one before we go to break. What was your other pleasant surprise from week 1?
Yeah. Obviously just kind of the Colts as a whole was super exciting. But I want to give a shout out particularly to their defense because in all of the discourse of holy hell, Danny Dimes, and the Colts offense literally scores on every single possession. Tyler Warren, I know we got a bunch of overreaction tweets about Tyler Warren is like basically a top 3 tight end in football already. Shout out to all of those people. Not sure I have a strong case against it, by the way. He looked incredible. I know, right? Again, oh my God, yeah, he's going to catch a bajillion passes. But anyways, yeah, so all talk of the offense, all talk about, wow, the Dolphins are terrible. I think it's just gotten lost that I think that Colts defense really played a great game against the Miami Dolphins offense. Like I said, I realize the Dolphins have problems. Trust me, been talking about it for a minute. That being said, the front kicked ass in that game. Weak offensive line, weak competition, I get it, but the front kicked ass in that game. They're dropping guys into coverage. It's Lou Anarumo, baby. Like his presence was felt in this game. More cover 2 on a percentage basis than any team in week 1. Really put the lid on this team. And a lot of times, how often how often and again, I realize Tyreek Hill's in decline. I've been talking about that all summer, but still, how many times we used to see those like big in breakers, Tyreek Hill's just wide open zone coverage, defenders just don't know what to do. Those windows were shutting fast in this one, watching this game back. So to me, yeah, I just really big shout out to Lou Anarumo, the Cam Bynum edition, which I know we all loved and thought was just picture perfect. It was that in week 1. So yeah, definitely the Colts offense needs its flowers. The Dolphins offense needs its, thumbs down, but man, the Colts defense, great performance in week 1, and that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, it's the Colts flowers on top of the grave, or the gravestone. That's what kind of feels like on the Dolphins gravestone. Yeah, I'm with you. That was a game I avoided a lot of on Sunday. Even when Charles and I talked about it, I just gave it the token rewatch, like, okay, real quick, just to see if I have any thoughts. I'm like, you just mentioned guys dropping into these zones and everything. Leotu Latu got an interception, who's a pass rusher. He's an edge rusher, but that's the funky looks. And that's the thing with the book, and why I was so pessimistic about the Dolphins is there's no kind of next step for the offense. It was like, okay, maybe Ollie Gordon providing size, but then it's like not like the offensive line got beefed up. It's a bunch of young guys. So it's just like, all right, what are you guys going to do? And then I watched them. It's the exact same place. It's second and long. They're still doing the running back middle screen, where it's a little angle screen and everybody blocks in front. And that, it worked a couple of years ago when no one was ready for it on second and third and long. Now you guys do it every time because you don't trust Tua to drop back. So it's just everybody caught up. And Lou Anarumo is a great game planner. Him in week 1, this was probably just a field day for him.
He's been cooking that one up for a while. Thoughts on the Colts offense? Obviously, we'll see how long it lasts, but this was definitely, I joked about the Minshew minimum that Corey Kinnan, he was the one that kind of put me on that. Hey, that was the Minshew minimum in week 1. So we'll see. Obviously, again, I think Shane Steichen's a good play caller and a good play designer. I don't know about him managing the whole everything that's been going on with the Colts, insert all the things here. But I did think the offense was well designed. And Daniel, I will say the one thing that stood out to me that I maybe wasn't expecting was I thought the interior offensive line played really well. And obviously that's where they've got new guys. Matt Gonsalves, the center is new. And I thought Gonsalves in particular blew open some big holes for Jonathan Taylor, who was a really active player in this one.
And the Dolphins D-line is not like a joke. Like the rest of the team were ha-haing about, but the D-line is not a joke. So that's
the only part of the team that's not a joke.
Yeah, that's it. And the 40-yard dash contest that they have in training camp. That's about it. Yeah, no, I thought Steichen had some good designs. I agree with you. Like they had Tyler Warren split out with Alec Pierce blocking for him, like on bubbles and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is why I was so optimistic about this team for the last couple of years. And then now I finally sell everything and I'm just like, oh, there it is. Finally get to see all that. No, we are going to go to our first break and we'll come back with a few more pleasant surprises from week 1. All right, we are back with a few more pleasant surprises from week 1. It's my turn. And I'm going to go with a guy that was on a defense I talked a lot about on Sunday. And I meant to give this guy a few more flowers, a few more props. And I'm going to take Tuesday to do so. That's a Lucas Van Ness potential breakout season. Wow. So Lucas Van Ness, for those who don't know, former first-round pick for the Packers, more of a developmental toolsy guy. The Packers like these guys. The Packers also like to give their first-round picks a long time to develop, so that's why it's frustrating to have takes on them. Van Ness, big, long athlete, looked awesome on Sunday. Micah Parsons unlocks a little bit of this, but also just Van Ness in his own ability. Parsons won't shut up about Van Ness either, but his own ability really stood out with truly winning one-on-ones. He lined up on the outside. He's an edge player. First play of the season. Sam Laporta trying to block him. Sam Laporta is not a great blocker. That's also some issues I have with the Lions, but that's another point. That's another side conversation. Van Ness just completely
put a pin in that.
Laporta
I'm going to want
aside.
you to talk about Lions tomorrow, by the way, for film room, but keep going.
Oh, okay, good. Because I've been trying to figure out where I can get some more thoughts out of them. So perfect. Listen to that if you want to hear some more Lions stuff. So yeah, Van Ness just decleats Laporta, throws him aside. Okay. All right. Then comes on. And there's another play where he, in the run game, beats Penei Sewell inside, makes another tackle on one. He lined up at defensive tackle on rush downs where they had Micah Parsons, Lucas Van Ness, and Rashawn Gary all on the field with Devontae Wyatt, who also had a good game. He lines up a D tackle, bull rushes Christian Mahogany, gets a sack there, half a sack there. He dropped into coverage a couple times and it wasn't just like one of those where Vita Vea is just standing there in the middle. It was like he was flipping his hips. He tackled Jahmyr Gibbs in space on one of them. And I just thought like this was a complete game from such an interesting player that it's like, it's really fascinating to see where this goes. If this is week 1, I mean, I know Micah Parsons is going to grab the headlines. He's going to unlock this defense and everything, but the linebackers looked incredible. Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper both looked really good. And if guys like Van Ness and Devontae Wyatt are playing like this might be the best defense. I know one of their corner spots is kind of iffy, with Nickel's kind of iffy, or one of the safety spots kind of iffy, but it's just nickel, I should say. But no, that was a lot of speed, and Van Ness was a part of it. So that was like, I just want to give him his flowers because I think he's that was the first step to a potential breakout season. And man, if it's him and Gary, how Gary played and how Micah Parsons is, that's a lot to throw out offensive lines in the NFC. And I'm like, man, feeling really good about the Packers.
It's like we talk about with receiver rooms. Like sometimes you drop in a guy and then everybody slots down a peg and then their strengths start being accentuated. So I'm not trying to just be like the Micah Parsons guy here, but I think when you drop a dude like that into your defense and then suddenly everybody else becomes not less important, but just like slots down a peg, like then their positive traits really start standing out. Because I agree with you, watching that game, it was just like Van Ness just pop, especially in the run game, just played with a lot more power than I'm used to seeing him play with. So yeah, like that to me was really encouraging. And that's the thing with this Packers defense. It's always been talented. They've always had a lot of highly drafted players. They've always had a lot of athletic guys as well. I think Jeff Hafley might not be around in Green Bay too long. Like that's a real thing. We'll see. Hopefully for Packers fans, he can stick around because I think LaFleur on one side coaching up on offense and Hafley's just continues to, I think, get better and better as the defensive play caller here. So hopefully Parsons addition, and then obviously just these guys continue to grow their own game. Hafley continuing to grow as a coordinator is just, I think we're talking about a really good defense here.
Yeah. And then Colby Woolen had a great game as well. And that I'm with you. Hafley's really earned. I was kind of indifferent when he got hired. I was like, all right, cover 3 guy, college guy, yada, yada. I really become a believer of how he's adjusted, how fast everyone's playing. Quay Walker has never played better and looks just so much on top of everything. Like he is truly just like aware. And that's the thing with Quay Walker. He had no idea where to run. He could run, like you said, they have a lot of guys that could run fast, but sometimes they were running in the wrong direction before. It's like these guys are all just playing cohesive. They're gang tackling. It looks like such a good defense with guys just all breaking out left and right. So Van Ness is part of it. Woolen's a part of it. All these guys. I had one last stat. Of course, it just an ad pops up on my notes. Oh, I said Woolen. I always mess up his name. Colby Wooden, not Colby Wooden. My bad. But no, the Packers. This is from Keegan Abdu from Next Gen Stats. The Packers had 7 plays with Micah Parsons, Lucas Van Ness, and Rashawn Gary on the field. How many yards do you think they allowed on those 7 plays, Matt Harmon?
15.
6. They allowed 6 yards on 7 plays with those 3 on the field. So, yeah, that's a lot of juice, a lot of fire to be thrown at offenses. All right, Matt, what was your last pleasant surprise from week 1?
Saints offense was kind of enjoyable to watch in week 1. Obviously, this is relative to expectations, which my expectations were very, very low for the Saints in general. But yeah, I love how we have it on the lower third. Saints offense was enjoyable. Like that enjoyable. Like it kind of was. I had that Cardinals Saints game up on one of the boxes here because I was just very curious about Marvin Harrison Jr.'s. I know you don't need to specify that you did. We know that Nate Tice's Cardinals. Of course, they were on a screen for you, but I was definitely curious about let me see what Harrison's usage looks like. But then again, the Saints keep popping up as well. I thought Rattler played well enough for me to think like. I didn't want to be as harsh as Charles has been on the Tyler Shuck pick, but Rattler's performance was good enough that like is pushing me towards all right, they probably lit that one on fire. Like, what was the point? Because it's not like any of these guys are likely going to be their franchise starting quarterback, but I think Rattler played well enough against a defense that I know people have a lot of respect for, and really like they throw a lot at you. I thought he handled himself acquittedly, and just as like a pure passing game snob, I've always really liked Kellen Moore's approach to things, and just I think he calls it, I think he calls it okay, like the sequencing and stuff like that, but the designs of it I think are sound and creative in terms of the receiver usage. They've passed on 68.1% of their plays, which was sixth most in the NFL. Of course, they were like fringe top 5 in plays run, 69 plays. So that's just going to be really interesting from like tracking their production wise, and all the footballs just going to Juwan Johnson, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave. And Chris Olave, by the way, kind of exactly the usage that I was hoping to see from him. 41.4% snaps in the slot. His air yards per target is like sub 8. And that's a guy that just never got any layups early in his career. I know there was the one play where he got obliterated by Will Johnson. So maybe we can cut that one out of the playbook. We don't need Chris Olave to be hanging out to dry like that, but I just really liked a lot of the concepts in this one. I like the way they set up Chris Olave. I like the way even Rashid Shaheed and Juwan Johnson got some reps from the slot. Now again, we're talking about the Saints here. I'm not saying they're going to exceed expectations or anything. I mean, Juwan Johnson also probably could have caught a football that might have made that one a little closer at the end. He kind of sold Spencer Rattler on that one. But yeah, I thought I came away feeling more impressed with Rattler than I thought, and encouraged about the way this offense looked and felt.
I totally agree. I had to switch to wired headphones for 2 shows in a row now. But no, I totally agree with you. Do you know that you mentioned how many plays they ran? And I noticed, it's like, are they using a lot of tempo? Like, are they just kind of getting to the line? That makes sense. Cardinals defense, really funky. Don't want to give them funky looks. They did use a lot of tempo. They were no huddle on over a third of their plays in non-garbage time too. I filtered that out. 36% of their plays, they were no huddle in non-garbage time, only behind the Commanders.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Who's Cliff, who's over 50% for Cliff. So I thought that was pretty notable. I was like, okay, are you guys, this just might be one of those fun watches. Like the offensive line's going to be decent. Like they got some talent there. I think it'll be well coached. They got Olave, like you mentioned. So yeah, I feel like the Saints are actually watchable, like you said. I'll put a period, not an exclamation mark, just a period. They are watchable. I always have to mention this. I had Spencer Rattler in the same tier as Nix and Penix. So when I was prospects, so I do. He does have. He can spin it. They didn't use a lot. Other thing was they didn't use a lot of play action, which I thought was curious. They were just letting them drop back and rip it. So yeah. I'm with you. I thought that's the Saints made it way more interesting. I thought they were going to keep spiraling, and they kept coming back. So good on them. All right, mine is kind of a question mark as well. My last pleasant surprise: Matthew Stafford's back is fine. Apparently, it's fine. I guess. I guess it's fine because what he was doing on Sunday, he probably might have been the best quarterback in all of football. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. Okay, top 5 quarterback. How he played this weekend, but man, he was slinging it. True highlight throws. Of course, I've tweeted him out already. I thought the Rams offense, this is why I had him as a top 5 offense. Just the design stuff that they do is so cool. It's nothing like exotic, and I think that's why I like it so much. It's really just nice little tweaks to kind of like your traditional designs. It's so like they're getting Puka Nacua in the slot because they're motioning the tight end out. Devontae Adams won one-on-one a couple times. We're sharing my tweet, so the back seems fine. No, but we have Devontae Adams winning one-on-one against Derek Stingley. I was like, all right, I want to see that. They're using a bunch of tight ends. They use tight ends on almost half their snaps, and they're very good out of using 2 tight end looks. This was a great kind of indication. The Texans, who love living in nickel and 5 DBs, were matching the Rams in base with 3 linebackers when the Rams were going with 12 personnel. For a minute, they changed as the game went along, and the Rams went, okay, so we're gonna motion out a tight end, put Puka Nacua in the slot, and got Puka Nacua going against a linebacker in space. Just taking advantage of what the defense is giving you in that way. Jordan Whittington is going to be a new Football 301 favorite. He already kind of was, but they're using him as a fullback, a returner, jet sweeps. They're using him as a blocker. Just
the new Ben Skoranek.
New Ben Skoranek. He's better than Ben Skoranek. Kind of like what I thought Puka Nacua was going to be, and then he just became so much better than even I was, and I was optimistic about him as a prospect. Yeah. But yeah, I like the use of personnel. I thought they would use more tight ends, and they did, and really just be a part of their offense. And yeah, this is why I was excited about the Rams offense at least 2 months ago, and I kind of tempered away with Stafford's health. But man, it was just exactly what I want to see. Stafford, highlight throws, good run game, good designs, good use of personnel. So yeah, this was a nice, pleasant surprise, I think, for me.
Yeah, we're sandwiching the two things I'm like most regretting selling my stock in from preseason with this. We started with Jets and then now we're back to Rams here. Like those are the two things that I was optimistic on the Tanner Engstrand stuff coming into this year. And then like, preseason Justin Fields, I'm out. Obviously Stafford's back, was really optimistic about the Rams. I'm out. And so I'm worried that it's 1 week, obviously backs, hey, nobody used to have a bad back. Like once you got a bad back, you got a bad back. Like he could be in the immortal chamber with Charles by week 7. Okay. Could Matthew Stafford. That is very possible. But in this week though, it was like this is exactly what I thought. Puka Nacua, 44% of his snaps in the slot according to NFL Pro. That was the highest game of his career in the NFL so far. And it was like the classic McVay. Yeah, it was the classic McVay bullshit, by the way. And I talk about this all the time where it's like he's obsessed with the 12 personnel. We're getting more tight ends on the field. Those guys are never getting the football. They're just there to control the flats so that you open up the in breakers for what was Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. It's the ultimate, we talk so much about McVay's 12 personnel, and it's just like sacrificial flat receivers. That's all those guys are. It's just, again, classic McVay BS, but I do love it. And yeah, Puka Nacua just bleeding from his eye, getting clocked over the head, and it's because he's just thumping these linebackers left and right. I absolutely love to watch it.
Oh, that's so funny you say that. I had the play I tweeted where it was like the one I'm talking about where Puka got in the slot, how they start. So it's 3-by-1. Puka Nacua is the outside receiver, but he's kind of a close split. And then they motion the tight end, who's at the 3 spot, all the way to the outside. And so what you're saying, it's great because he just runs on Colby Parkinson. Colby Parkinson just runs a go route, but he wastes Derek Stingley on him. And you can tell Stingley's like, oh, come on. Give me I got to cover a tight end vertically. All right. You can tell. You can even
that
see
tight
him
end too. Like of all their tight ends, of all tight ends, period, but definitely of all their tight ends, Colby Parkinson.
Yes. And then it was great. And you get Puka on, I want to say it was Petrie, and he runs an in-breaker and creates outside leverage. And then you got Devontae Adams with C.J. Gardner-Johnson on him. It's like, that's a win for the offense. Like when you get those matchups. So, and then on top of it, the Rams are doing I kind of thought they would anyways, but the under center drop back stuff with no play action. There's some old school element to this offense that's so much fun. They did quick game from under center, which is a 3-step drop, which you never see that anymore, ever. You never ever see that. And they did it a couple times. So a lot of fun watching the Rams offense, which, like you said, 2 months ago I was saying this, and now I just kind of went away from it before the season. But fun to see it again. We're going to take our last break, and we're going to come back with some of your overreactions, and we're going to react to some of those. See you guys in a sec. All right, we are back, and it's time for Overreaction Court.
Order in the court.
We asked for your biggest overreactions from week 1, and now we're going to judge them on the overreaction scale, 1 to 5. I tweeted out this week, let's hear some of your overreactions. You guys got a night of sleep on it. Maybe your sleep score wasn't great, depending on how you enjoyed your Sunday, your first Sunday back, to those listening to this. So we asked you, what were some of your overreactions? We're going to judge them 1 to 5. Producer Stone was very excited to use the gavel sound. So we obliged. I thought this was perfect for it. So we'll start with the first one from Riley. This season, this is the first overreaction. I like this. This season will finally prove to everyone that Justin Fields is definitively better than Trevor Lawrence. Matt, 1 through 5, 5 being that's the craziest overreaction we ever heard. 1 being like, no, I don't think that's that crazy.
By the way, I love a 2-for-1 special here because you get Fields hopium and you get Trevor Lawrence pessimism here all in one. My God, I feel like I kind of want to give this a 3. You know,
I think that's fair.
I just want to come down in the middle on this one. I want to come down in the middle on this one just because, I mean, Trevor, my God, man, like just hit the layups, brother. Come on. Just hit the layups. We don't need Liam Cohen in the press conference breaking down, you know, we missed BTJ on this, we missed him on this, you know, giving like detailed explanations about why these plays didn't work out. It just comes back like, who's we, Liam? Who are you talking about when you say we? Yeah. I will say I am really trying to not overreact to a lot of this Jags Panthers game, mostly because of my priors, number one, but number two also because on both sides the priors, by the way, because geez, Panthers, woof. Yeah, so I'm trying not to overreact, but also because like that game got cut weirdly in the middle by like an hour with that weather delay, and I thought in fairness, like I thought that Trevor was playing pretty well to start the game. Not perfect, but playing pretty well to start the game. And you go back and look, actually, the stats bear that out. In the first and second quarter, he was like completing over 70% of his passes. I thought he was a little more settled. And so I kind of just want to be like, let's see him like play a normal game where it's all 60 minutes. He doesn't take a giant break in the middle. But I also am like, my God, we're on year whatever of Trevor Lawrence's career, and I'm talking about a weather delay. I mean, just a little ridiculous, but
yeah, Trevor's about to get some. We have take poker on here, or you know, some of their stuff. Are we folding? Are we raising? He's about, you know, take poker might come up for Trevor Lawrence sometime in October. We'll see. I'm gonna go 1.5 on this one on overreaction. As much as I had Trevor Lawrence in that draft class as my number one guy, I had Justin Fields as my number two guy. And at the time, because I also thought everyone was being insane about Zach Wilson, and another guy, Trey Lance, had thrown like 50 passes in his career coming from FCS, and another guy, Mac Jones, who can run out of his own shadow. And, you know, like, so at that draft class, I was like, yeah, well, this is the only guy that looks like one of the dudes. You know, we talk about Josh Allen, Mahomes, these guys, like as far as athleticism and size. The thing we already talked about Fields a little bit. I've always been an optimist about Trevor. Had him as a top 10 quarterback going into this season. And this game was just like, are you going to do this to me again, man? It was just, it's one of these things where he's hitting these curl routes and they're beautiful. His pocket movement, great. And then he just misses easy throws. Reads a pressure, and we talked about this pre-show, but Liam Cohen talked about it. BTJ running an in-breaker. Trevor sees it. He's making the correct decision. Just hit the throw. Like you did the hard part. Like all these quarterbacks can throw. Like that's the thing. It's like, and I know I joke about even myself. It's like I can throw a lot of these throws. It's how quickly they get there and how accurate and how in the decision making to get there that quickly. That is the difference between me sitting in this chair and those guys getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars. Like that's what makes them so special. And that's the thing with Trevor. He sees it. And I know you can make that throw, so just freaking throw it. And then he misses BTJ wide open on the other one. If he hits one of those two, feeling much better. But that's the thing; he's missing both. The J.C. Horn interception, it's an amazing interception. Don't get me wrong, one-handed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you think about that one? Because that was,
It's throw it up, throw it with arc. That's a throw. That's what we call a rise ball, which some people say layering, which is it's a little different things. But a riser is just. Throw it. You're throwing it deeper than you expect, and it's kind of an optical.
If you're going to miss it over. Don't line it.
Don't miss it short.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's what quarterback play is, and quarterback ball placement and everything is you're throwing to the spot that can do the least damage, as opposed to the spot that can maybe create the most yards. If that makes sense. I think Mahomes sometimes gets hit with like off target throws, rates and everything. But then if you watch him, you see why he's throwing it down and away, why he's throwing it there. He's trying to save his guy a hit and just get the completion and make sure this guy gets that 8 yards I just gave him. And I think Trevor sometimes, Caleb has this a little bit too. They're trying to be just too perfect. And it's just like, and I can see it. The BTJ wide ass miss to the left. It was, I think it was like a corner route or like a deep out. Trevor on that, and I'm just using all my old coaching points here. Paul Christ had a thing called listen to your feet. And that's like, if you're hitching a second time, check it down. That means you're off. That means He hitches twice. And I'm like, just why are you hitching twice? It's open. Like, I don't know. It's just like that those little couple plays he has. And I'm like, I just don't want that. I don't want to see that, especially like you said, year 6 that we're getting into at this point in time. So, yeah, I know. It's one of those where I'm not totally out. Again, Jags are one of these teams I want to give it 2 months, but it's such a crazy new regime, young coaches, so much personnel. Diami Brown got a lot of faith there in that offense, though. Brenton Strange looks great, and Trevor really trusts him. Brenton Strange as a blocker looks great as well. So that's why I'm not totally overreacting all the way, but it's like, come on, man. Yeah. I can't get another B- C+ out of you. We got to start stacking some A's. Like, otherwise you're just another mid-tier plus guy.
Yeah. Just forgettable.
Yeah. And also props to Justin Fields that he made this question valid. So I will say that.
Right.
Next,
real quick before we move on, is if five is it's way too much of an overreaction, and 1 we're buying it, or
wait, I kind of did that backwards.
That's what I was confused. I was like, because I just cut it down the middle.
4.5. Wait, so
okay.
3. So
okay,
I went,
got it.
So really, it's more of a 4. Yeah, 4.5 is what I meant. My bad. 4.5. Yes,
okay.
yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm a little more willing to buy into it than you are, which is I think
correct.
Fair.
Okay,
cool.
Because you midpointed. You did perfect. You said 3.
I midpointed.
So you can argue it. You can argue it either way.
This is how I win.
Yeah, but I know, right? It's like me and the Vikings. All right, so moving on to the next one. I thought that was a really fun one. Twigs Hart asked us, or his overreaction, I should say. The Dolphins have the potential to go 0-17. They were boat raced out of the building by a mediocre team. I know we talked about this game a little bit, but let's talk about the Dolphins. All right, 5, biggest overreaction you've ever seen. That's crazy. 1, you're buying it.
I think I'm gonna go with like a 2 or a 3 on this one, because I don't think they're gonna go 0-17. But I get it. I get why you feel that way, Connor.
What if the question was number 1 pick?
Oh, yeah, that's like a 4. A 4. I just think 0-17 is hard, but I think they could. No, well, sorry, no, that's like a 2. Well, I mean, that's like a 1. That's like a 1. I don't know. Anyways, I would buy that. Now, let me put it that way. Forget the scale for a second. I would totally buy if he came back here and said they're going to get the number 1 overall pick. 0-17 is just really, really hard, and they do have some good players, and they have a really good pass rush. And by the way, like, they could win this weekend against New England. New England's got problems. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I know, right?
Yeah. New England's got a lot of issues. Okay. I can't believe their win total 8.5 still like astounds me. Again, that's my priors talking, because I was under on that one, but I didn't see a damn 9-win team on Sunday with the New England Patriots. So the Dolphins quite literally could get a win on Sunday against that Patriots team.
Yeah. They got Patriots.
That being said,
Jets.
Mike McDaniel said he said today in the press conference that, well, I don't see how it could possibly get worse, he said that's the good news. By the way, that's what everybody says right before it gets worse. That's what people always say right before it truly does go from bad to hell. And that's kind of what I feel with this Dolphins team. It's just like Tyreek Hill, we're not even an hour into the game and he's already pissed off on the sideline. Meanwhile, he's running around like he didn't even know he's doing on half the plays. His ex-wife files like is in a court filings, like issues eight things of domestic violence or something I saw on Pro Football Talk. Like, just we're still talking about that. Hey, just get him out of it, dude. I don't understand it.
I'm tired of him.
I'm tired of him. Get him out of there. Like, you're not gonna. You're just letting like the combustible thing sit in the corner there for a team that doesn't need that, because you've already got enough problems on the football field. Their quarterback is like a stone zero out of structure, and the structure sucks now. They don't have a real run game. Like, let me just I can say nothing good about the Dolphins unless it's about the front on the defensive side of the football. And that's even Jalen Waddle, like, in the medical tent again. We can't stop
again.
So
I know.
Yeah,
I actually thought about you when I saw that.
I literally got that alert. I mean, but by the way, it was like just off, like alerts left and right about Olave in the medical tent, and then like in the middle of the two, it's Jalen Waddle's, and I'm like, well, football is freaking back, baby. The receivers are getting hurt.
Dolphins receivers getting hurt. Trevor Lawrence missing BTJ and a wide open throw. Yep, football is back. Week 1 is back, baby.
Yeah.
No, so 5. 5 is the biggest overreaction. 1 is we're buying it. I'll go a 2, and I think a 2. Like in the sense, if they say number one pick, okay, we're marinating. I'm thinking about that. But what you said, defensive line, I also think their schedule. I mean, they got winnable games. They got the Jets this month.
Mm-hmm.
They got the Panthers. They got the Browns. They're going to get their teeth kicked in. Don't get me wrong, by some of the, especially by the Bills and stuff. They got the
Browns.
Saints.
The Browns are going to kick their ass. Let me pick that game right now. Browns win that game. Okay, Myles Garrett wins that game.
Oh my God, Myles Garrett against Dolphins offensive line. Yeah, that might be a little.
Yeah,
Joe Flacco's spinning it. Joe Flacco had some
Cedric
of my favorite
Tillman, Harold Fannin.
Tillman.
Forget. Yeah,
Harold Fannin.
What week is that? We're already picking week 5 games or whatever. Yeah, the Browns.
I can look up the spread too. I'll let you know. That's October 19th. We're already getting there. I can't wait to preview that one with you. Yeah, so there's just a lot of bad feelings there, a lot of bad vibes there. But that just shows that even when you have some stars on this team and some good players, it's just like it's a lot about the mental side with football and a lot about the morale with these teams. Otherwise, it's a long, long season. That looked like a long, long season for them. All right, moving on to the next one. This is from Matt, not you, Matt, but Matt, the listener. Cam Ward will be set back years in his development by the terrorist Brian Callahan. 5. This is a wild overreaction. Or 1, you are buying that Brian Callahan is a terrorist.
I forgot.
I know this was the phrasing of this one cracked me up. I muted I told you guys before the show, I muted these threads, but before I muted it, this was the last one that I got a notification on, and I was in tears, like laughing like you are right now.
I because I have it on the dock, but I guess I just have my vMix window, our recording device, nobody knows what that's called, is that window's over the word terrorist, so I just forgot that was in there. But yeah, I mean, this calls him a terrorist. I mean, Brian Callahan, please, I mean, come on, buddy, know the rules of the sport that you are coaching, please. And
Nepo baby's a
don't
bad
act
name,
like
man.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say I thought of you not because of that, not because of the Nepo baby thing, but because of the. But I thought about you because I know you're such a stickler for know the rules. I thought about you when I saw him not just not knowing the rules, but pushing back. Well, this is why I didn't do that. Buddy, you're wrong. You're loud and wrong. It's one thing to be wrong, but you can't be loud and wrong. You're loud and wrong. Not good. And I say this as somebody that really kind of liked some of the stuff that Brian Callahan did in year 1 from just a putting the offense together perspective. But I don't know. I'll say that I give this one a 4. One because Brian Callahan is not a terrorist, as far as I know. 2, I think that he still can develop the quarterback here pretty well. I still think the offense it's not like an offensively designed unit or anything. I'm not saying they're cutting the edge or whatever, but it's not an offensively designed thing. I think the offensive line will get better with time. And, that was just a really tough ask in week 1 to go on the road and play the Denver Broncos. Another weather delay game. And I also think Cam Ward's another guy who's got to dial some heat off the football here, too. I don't come away from that game thinking wow, Cam Ward was perfect and everybody else let him down. Cam Ward, I think, is good, and I think he will be good. But, so I'm not going to say he's a setback years by Brian Callahan. I'm not quite there yet. I need a few more weeks of evidence.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Not calling him a terrorist. I'm with you. I call it a 4. A little bit of overreaction, funny overreaction. No, but the rule stuff is very discouraging for me. I feel like that's the argument for hiring someone that's been around the sport and everything is they'll know this random stuff. And that's why they have more reps at it than most people do. And it's disappointing. The end of the first half, they hit a big play and he's trying to call another play in, and his special teams coordinator Bones is running at him going no, kick the field goal.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
We only have 6 seconds. That's suicide. I mean, you can maybe do a throwaway, but there's no point in playing with fire with a rookie quarterback on the road against the Broncos defense. You just don't play with fire. Something I talked about with the Falcons at the end of their game. Some fans yelled at me. I was like, just don't play with fire, and bad things you don't get burnt. But it was but I think Cam Ward's real. I every month I feel better and better about him. Eval process to now, he has everyone talks about the sense of calm, but I also just think his decision making is pretty good. He took a couple sacks that weren't great, that knocked him out field goal range, but man, his process was good. there's just botches happening. Calvin Ridley is he might
he's Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he was going to struggle in that game no matter what, because it was a tough matchup against Pat Surtain, and he's the only guy that you have to worry about. And Calvin Ridley is also like good player, not a great player, but he's the only guy you have to worry about. Maybe Alec Iomanner continues to emerge, we'll see. But also, like, Calvin, you're not going to get that many opportunities, good looks in this game. You got to catch those footballs, but he's never been like. He's never that was one thing. I think, did I say this to you when people were all over Van Jefferson, my favorite player, Van Jefferson, in the preseason, about dropping that football against the Falcons where it was just like a perfectly layered in throw by Cam Ward over the middle, and I saw multiple tweets of, oh, well, that's going to be Calvin Ridley in the regular season. You don't like that's not going to be Van Jefferson. I'm like, guys, are you from? And I say this as a general defender of Calvin Ridley. Have you seen Calvin Ridley play in the last few years? He's gonna make some mistakes. He's gonna make he's gonna make a lot of mistakes like that.
Yeah, he'll have a brutal drop, or he'll have, like, they had a play, they try to call him like a bubble, and he ends up blocking, and so Cam Ward has nobody to throw the ball to. Like, and it's just, that's how Calvin is. Like, that's why you want him as your number two and not your guy, because okay, we're gonna drop this play for a guy you don't even know where he's gonna be at, or whether he's gonna catch the ball. No, I might take away from that was like, wow, that was a tough situation. Broncos defense is still really good, and man, but I just thought, and also what's his name, Nick Bonito looked phenomenal. But man, I was like, I thought Cam Ward, that was encouraging. His process was good throughout that game. So results.
By the way, they didn't get blown out in that one either. I know some of that was that was obviously their defense played well against Bo Nix.
Yep.
Maybe that's another conversation to have. But that was definitely they didn't go in there and get obliterated. The offense obviously really struggled, but still, it wasn't like and again, another weather delayed game. It's his first game in the NFL. A lot of variables there.
At Mile High, all that stuff. All right, this is the last one. This is from Whatever Man. Todd Bowles is the worst coach in football, and Tampa will regret giving him a contract extension. 5, this is a giant overreaction. 1, you're buying it. Where are you going with your Matt?
4.5, only because I'm not going all the way to 5, because I mean, Todd Bowles is not the worst coach in football.
He's not.
He's not. You think it can't get worse for you? Whatever, man. Look around. It can get worse, okay? But the part that I'm giving it, maybe even like a 4.8, 4.85.
Okay.
I just like the regretting giving him the contract extension. It was just on my radar a little bit that Bucs offense didn't feel quite as buttoned up as it did last year. And you're obviously on your third I don't want to say third try, but your third offensive coordinator in 3 years, because you keep having to try, because you keep hitting. You hit with Canales, and you really hit with Cohen, and now you're on your third guy. Like, eventually, odds are you're just gonna hit a dud. And I'm not saying that Grizzard is a dud. It's one game. I'm not overreacting, but and there's obvious caveats here too. With Tristan Wirfs is not out there. You're moving your center, Graham Barton to left tackle. Might be like a top 3 center in football, maybe. Definitely top 5. And now you got to kick him out to left tackle, throw things into your backup center, by the way, is now playing with Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. So it's just, there's a lot going on there. That's part of it. Also the receiver stuff. You're obviously lighter there than you expected to be coming into the year. Your quarterback is missing throws. That's all part of it. But the run game definitely against a Falcons team that you should be able to run on was not as good. I didn't think, the designs were as good. It just, again, that part's where it's like a little on my radar. Are you going to end up regretting giving him the contract extension because you could have just promoted Liam Cohen and did the thing that the Bucs have done in the past? That was definitely on the table. They didn't do it. So could they end up regretting that? I think there is a chance that is true, but worst coach in football is a little harsh.
Yeah. I'm going 4.5. Not the worst coach in football. I think he's whatever. He's actually gotten better with like fourth down stuff too, like aggressiveness and all that. So like some game management stuff that he was one of the weaker guys at, I think he's been okay at. That might be just anecdotally, but I feel like I've seen numbers on that as well. Also, you get Todd Bowles game planning on defense, which is it can be a difference-making thing, a difference-making asset. Do I think he should just be a defensive coordinator? Yes. Like, I think he should be a Spags for somebody. Like, truly, that's what I think he should be. But he's not the worst head coach. I think he's fine. And he keeps hitting on these OCs. So like he's doing something, even if maybe some of that's the GM or something, but I still think Bowles has input. Yeah, I thought the offense was just like, it's one of these where it's like, well, Wirf's not in there. Like you said, Barton's playing left tackle, Ben Bredenson's playing center, all that stuff. And Barton did fine. I still love him as a center. But it was just one of these things where it's just like with the Bucs and with the Bulls, it's just kind of like, this is what he is. Like, I don't know. I'm indifferent. I'm agnostic, I think, towards it because it's really just it's all about the players and everything. But what you said about the OC is interesting because it is something I've been keeping my eye on. It's always worrisome when a guy has never called plays. Like Cohn never called plays in the NFL, but he called plays in college running the same offense. And so that it's just reps. It's just like we talk about quarterbacks getting reps. Like calling plays is really, really hard and being on top of everything and adjusting throughout the games and everything. That's why the ones that do it are awesome. Like the ones that we talk about, but it's really, really hard. You can't just have a guy do it for the first time and be like, yeah, he's great. That was good. You feel reacted?
That was good.
You feel like you reacted? You feel properly reacted?
Yeah. I feel like we did our best to, I mean, I'm still trying to recover from Brian Callahan as a terrorist, but that's what we call this for.
That was one of the better ones. I was glad we used that one because it cracked me up too. Yeah. I think that phrasing always is funny, but we're closing it out today. Charles and I will be back on Thursday to preview week 2. As always, I am Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice. That is Matt Harmon. You can find him at Matt Harmon_BYB. Make sure to check out the Yahoo Fantasy Forecast. I'll be on there tomorrow, which is Wednesday, but Matt is there, every day? Doing live takeaways. You're doing
Seemingly
every type of analysis over there. Matt does awesome stuff. So now we got real games to react to. Who's a waiver pickup? You got one? Before we close,
I mean the pop. There's not it's not a great waiver wire week, honestly. We're talking about like potentially 3 Browns, like both their rookie running backs, Harold Fannin. I do think Fannin, if you're in need of a tight end, I think that's real. I think that's really real. Like
their coaches love him.
Yeah, and you could definitely get I'll drink beer that much anymore. You can get 1.5 glasses of rosé in me, and I'd be like, Harold Fannin, more production than David Njoku rest of the season. You could get me to that take.
1.5 glasses of rosé.
I miss rosé weather's almost over here. I mean, it pretty much is over. So yeah, I'm bummed about that.
My rosé as well. I also enjoy my rosé, so I was with you on that one. Yeah, I could say one shot tequila. I'm going with Fannon's the guy. And he looked great, so we highlighted him on Sunday as well. So I think that's very real. But subscribe to us, follow us, rate us. Thank you all for listening, but seriously, rate us and leave us a review. I really appreciate that. Just kind of keep them churning. I want to hear from you guys. So we really appreciate it over here on Football 301. If you can drop in some reviews, hopefully 5 stars, we'd also appreciate that. Watch us on YouTube, on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. Great graphics and everything we got going on. We got the Sunday live shows with Charles right after the afternoon games before the night game. That's a ton of fun. So you can make sure to subscribe and follow us there. Thanks to Stone, Madison, and Austin behind the scenes for making us look and sound good. Thank you all for listening. See you guys Thursday.